My dear students, a very quick recap of dismiss what we have discussed yesterday. Can one of you tell me, other than what appears on the screen, what did we discuss yesterday? I should know that you have the awareness of it. ECB students, if you are not going to respond, I think I will remove you from meeting. That's the only thing. Why don't one student respond to my question? Anyone who can volunteer? What did we discuss yesterday?
Technical communication.
Yeah. Roll number 63, can you say what did we discuss yesterday?
Technical communication, ma'am, and its barriers and types.
Anybody else? 66? 66, roll number.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you say what all did we discuss yesterday? She mentioned a few things. Roll number 66 mentioned a few things. Can you tell in detail? Because you said you followed everything, there was no problem. I would like to know, it's something like recapitulation which is going to help us remember what we did yesterday and proceed with what we are likely to do tomorrow. So could you please quickly tell me what all did we finish yesterday?
We discussed about what is technical communication and values of the technical communication and examples and barriers, ma'am.
Okay. Not only just that, we also looked at the flow process of communication, right? Well, how many steps are involved how many stages are involved in the process of communication? Can anyone recollect and say quickly? Because if it were a classroom session, we would definitely talk on this. But it is important to know that you have everything retained in your memory. This is a definite 2 mark.
Sender, encoding, channel.
Okay. And
channel, decoding, receiver, feedback.
Very good. So we have seen the process of communication where at least as many as 5 steps are involved. And while dealing with that, we also discussed on the importance of encoding, how appropriate it should be, etc. And then we moved on to the flow or the channels of communication, how communication flows in every organization, what are the various levels, how helpful is it. So we are now moving, but when we talked about so much of communication and the flow, directions and everything, there are always possibilities of getting some hindrances or interferences in the flow of communication. So related to that, we have already looked at something called barriers of communication. We started with the barriers of communication, and I said we can broadly categorize them under 4 varieties. 4 to 5 varieties. Some people classify it as just 3 to 4 varieties. However, it is very important to know what is a barrier, what are the root causes for the barrier, and how to eliminate these barriers so that communication does not fail in any time. Because our ultimate objective is to be effective in our communication, whether it is oral communication or written communication. So let's get into the lesson for today, barriers to communication. We have looked at the different barriers to communication, like the linguistic barrier, the first and foremost thing. We have also, not yesterday, day before yesterday, I did discuss, I remember having discussed the polysemic nature of language, etc. Limited vocabulary is a barrier sometimes. Wrong choice of words, which miscommunicates the entire message, should be avoided. So when we listed these many things as reasons or causes for barrier, we should definitely work on suggesting something. So whenever you learn a word, these are the causes have been listed and they appear on the screen. So how to overcome these barriers? It is a repeated question in the examination, cement examination also. What are the barriers? Suggest a few measures to overcome the barriers to communication. So when I say I'm unaware of the words, the root meaning, the different senses, etc., it's very important for me as a speaker, or if at all I want to be an effective writer, to be aware of the different senses of the meaning. I should cultivate the habit of knowing that. I must tell you something related to you people working on it. Do not listen to me just as if I'm lecturing on this just for the sake of lecturing. Take this point into your heart. Let it remain with you forever. Even after you complete the course, you will make use of this. Whenever you want to learn words or vocabulary, some people would be joining this GRE training at all and they break their heads just like that. But instead of that, right from this second year, if you are keen on, pursuing your masters, you can spend a little time every day to master a word. If at all you say, I know this word, then I assume that my student, whoever claims to have the knowledge of a word, I assume that he or she knows the spelling of it, knows the syllable division of it, is aware of the word accent, where the word is accented, is aware of the grammatical form of the word or the function of the word, and how many more words can be derived by means of prefixes and affixes, and how at least the knowledge of two and synonyms and two antonyms of the same word, so that they can use it in multiple contexts without distorting the meaning. Pakka, they know what is what, how it would fit into the context. So these are the things definitely known. Above all, they know how to use it in their own sentence and they do not struggle by in doing so. So if you know all these features related to a word, your linguistic ability is abundant. It would improve overall over a period of 3 to 4 months. If you practice learning words this way, this is going to work wonderfully. So you will never be ignorant of the nature of words. As I told you yesterday, we have negative words, positive words, neutral words, right? We also have positive words and simply negative words. We also have connotative meanings and denotative meanings. So if you expand your sense of words that particular manner, your vocabulary is not limited anymore. It becomes unlimited vocabulary, and you stop making wrong choices of the words because you have a set of them with you working all the time in your mind. And apart from that, if you start reading books and other things, articles, newspaper, anything that would facilitate you to perceive the grammatical structures that appear on the paper or in the articles, then you will never struggle when you start writing something on your own. Because at up to college level, you have lecturers giving you the lectures, providing you the handouts, providing you with the notes and other things. But when it is your the real time performance, you should be aware of all these features. So you may say we are good at that, or we may improve everything. None of us, I as a teacher do believe that none of us should not ignore the fact that we have a room or scope for improvement at any point of time. Then apart from that, you as you read, you will know what is proper word order, what is improper word order. You will also notice how punctuations are used, because when you write your project thesis or the project report, you face lot many difficulties if you are keen on doing something on your own rather than copying from some source, cut, copy, paste. If you are a master at that, you will never have to worry about it. But at the in the real world, in the real performance, it's your cognitive ability, it's your thinking, organizing, and the true ability that comes into the force and picture, and people start assessing you by the worth your worth by means of the skill displayed by you at that moment. So please do follow these things in order to improve yourself, so that you are linguistically very very highly competent and a proficient user of the language. I don't say this because I am a language teacher. I say this because I want my students to excel in the field of their choice. Then the next 1 minute. Second one is a psychological barrier. Then I can say this as intrapersonal barrier. Psychology is the mind set of a person, right? It deals with the mind, how it performs, how it works, how it analyzes, etc. So the mental state of a person differs. The mental state differs from person to person. So What I consider as extremely difficult might seem to be extremely easier to the other person. So, if we start making comparisons of that kind, we stop over there, we stagnate, we start making comparisons, and we end up into depressions. Not required at all. So psychological barrier is something of a person within himself or herself. So the preconceived notions, for example, there is a speech being delivered at 4 p.m. today evening on so and so platform, Google Meet link, by so and so speaker. That speaker is a renowned person in the field of soft skills. So most of us are not that aware of what are soft skills and all. Maybe in the entire group of 60 students, you have at least 10 students who are aware of this, who do not have some kind of liking, or who have some kind of dislike for the speaker. So when they say, that speaker, I know he is nothing, he is not fit enough, he is not that, he is this, etc., etc. If somebody says, you are definitely influenced by the other person's, what to say, other person's remarks. As a result, you start shutting down your ears. You may be bodily present, physically present in the seminar or the workshop, but you shut your ears. As a result, you don't process the information, and whatever is a notion is nothing but a feature, an aspect, like I think of something and I believe it to be true, that need not have validity across the people, across the group. It may change, but if you are influenced by such person's words, you are in for trouble. So you have to overcome this, because it will become a great barrier. It will not let you process the information. Wrong assumptions. So we take for granted, this is what, this is what is true about person A. So I don't have to pay attention. That's it. I assume that I know better than what others know. So if that is a wrong assumption, if you think you are smart, if you think you have exceeded in terms of knowledge and all, then we shut our ears. We turn a deaf ear to everything. Fixed ideas. According to me, in a particular, in a particular setup of the house or something, the books should be on the left side and the table should be on the right side. I'm just giving an example. I never mind that in any aspect, right? So if my idea is fixed, when I think of a study room, books on the left side, table on the right side. But somebody says, see, because of this, you're having, there's no proper ventilation. Why don't you change it? No. Why should I change it? This is my room. This is my idea. Let it be. But in spite of that, I would be suffering because I don't get ventilation. As a result, I would be losing my focus, concentration, etc. Because of that, it's a barrier for me. It's an impediment for me, in fact, to complete my work, or to complete my assignment, whatever it is. So fixed ideas about people, about persons, about objects can always cause a barrier to communication. One way thinking, rigid thinking, we can also call it as, I think only this way. There's a proverb, a beautiful proverb in Telugu. తా పట్టిన కుందేలుకి మూడే కాళ్ళు. You know this. You must have heard about it. Mammals have four legs. They are all four-legged. But somebody says, I caught a rabbit. It has only three legs. So every rabbit has a three. You cannot categorize, generalize, and say things. That is rigid thinking. Wrong attitude towards a person, wrong attitude towards the subject, wrong attitude towards the analysis, etc. Anything could be. Yeah. Judgmental in nature. What is being judgmental? Or judgmental or evaluative is one and the same thing. What is meant by being judgmental or evaluative? When you listen to someone, you throw all ears and process the information. But when you have a fixed opinion about the speaker, when you feel that the speaker should be like this, or the speaker is not like that, you start analyzing each and every word uttered by the speaker in a very critical manner, and you evaluate the speaker rather than evaluate the message. So that goes in a personal dimension. As a result, you become judgmental in your approach. You lose the focus or the on the entire gist of the topic, but you pick up some faltu, like whatever wrong that has been said, and you just keep bragging on that. As a result, you never know what is the worth of the speaker. So differences in background. There are 60 students in a class. 60 students have a different socio-economical background. They do because this matters in terms of the knowledge base you gain. If your parents, all the students' parents are generally, if they are highly qualified or educated, they do monitor the studies. They know what is, they assess the worth of their own children. If that is lacking, they feel they haven't reached up to that level or something. So backgrounds matter. Background of the person, it's not that, apart from the education of the parents, the general knowledge of the students also varies. Some are interested in reading papers and gathering lot of knowledge. Some people watch YouTube videos and gain knowledge if it is really education oriented. Some people just don't gain any knowledge. They listen to what others say and they say, fine, it is good, or okay, I know about this. If you are strong enough, if you are convicted about your own knowledge, you will never feel inferior. The differences in background always lead to inferiority complexes. So that's also a psychological barrier, because in India, most of the times there are always jokes on the Indian communities living abroad. If there is a power failure in your house, you are not worried about that, but you just look into the others, the neighbor's house, and say they have power and we don't have, so he also should lose power. The background should is can never be expected to be similar, but still you can work on many methods and ways to make it similar to some extent, so that you can overcome this particular barrier. Knowledge is something that we gain because of our intuition, of our intellectual ability, because of our interest in varied fields. Education can also cause a barrier. In a class of 60 students, not all 60 get the same mark. Depending on the personal ability, personal interest in some things and certain other things, they either top or they remain in the average level. So it doesn't mean that no one is making comparison and saying you are average, I am excellent. No one, none of the students do that. They just want to enjoy whatever they study together. But because of that, if you are inferior, if you really feel you could have done better, rather than focusing on the ways and means to improve yourself, if you are focusing on how to pull that fellow down, then definitely that is a psychological barrier. Lack of concentration. So though we have mentioned a list of them as psychological barriers, lack of concentration, it's exclusively, this one can also be a barrier because of physical discomfort, right? Because of ill health, etc. For all these reasons, barriers of psychology that tend to be intrapersonal, that is within a person's thinking and correlating, you can suggest some remedies like meditation is the best thing for us to overcome these kinds of things. Never believe in what others say. Do not judge a book by its cover. That's a common proverb, but still it holds a greater value. Think about how best you can get. See, if you attend a 20 minutes talk or a presentation at any place, see what are the key points and how you can take the key points and work on them, etc. Right? That is a second barrier. Then we have the interpersonal barriers. Have a look at that, please. So, interpersonal, between people. Barriers of communication arise between people because they are strongly emoted. They have strong emotions and feelings, and each and every one of them gives equal importance to their personal feelings rather than the group feelings. As a result, For example, 10 members are on a project. They have to complete the project and submit the project report to their supervisor. But three people, they just want their word to be executed. Whatever their order, that should be executed. So out of the 10 members, three are like that. Four of them are quite normal. They listen to everyone and they say, come on, let's complete it. Whereas the rest three, they say, why should I listen to that fellow? What nonsense is it? As a result, whenever they sit, whenever they meet together and start exchanging information, the three people who are very arrogant, they want to put forth their idea, they want everyone to implement that. They speak like anything. The four who are pally with all others, they say, fine, there's nothing wrong. Okay, let's try, let's implement. The other three who feel they are subdued or sabotage, they feel, why should I pay attention to that fellow? Why should I listen to him at all? Why should his ideas be implemented? My ideas are equally good. See, there is one thing that can help you overcome this barrier. If you start negotiating, if you put across your thoughts in a persuading manner, definitely you can overcome this barrier. Otherwise, they remain unshared perceptions and ideas. So the other three feel, even if I say that is not valued, so why should I say? Let me not. As a result, you never try to communicate. You never get involved into the act of communication. And you say, oh, that fellow is arrogant. Let him speak. Why should I? Negative attitude towards the other person. Apprehension. The rest four who are very active, who are willing to listen to everyone, they do want to say something, but they have their apprehensions, fears of being criticized, fears of being, being lesser, inferior, whatever it is. So they never showcase that. They keep all the feelings to themselves and just say, okay, okay, okay for everything. Lack of confidence is also one important interpersonal barrier, because when you don't have the guts, see, when we want to talk to somebody, we don't need the guts in the first place. We only need we only need sentences, we only need ideas. That's it. When we become judgmental, when we are afraid of being judged by each and every person, we are never going to shine. We are never going to open up. So we should overcome this barrier in the first and foremost place. Lack of confidence is something that has to be practiced by us. We to overcome the barrier, we need to talk to ourselves. We need to talk with people. We need to stand in front of a mirror and keep talking as much as possible, so that we can know whether or not we are being able to drive home points logically, whether or not our body language matches with what we say, etc. Prejudice. Within a group, prejudice entirely shatters the group's performance. Prejudice is nothing but fixed feeling, prior opinion. So you must have heard about the novel Pride and Prejudice. If you have pride, okay, to some extent you can succeed. But if you are prejudiced about others as well as yours, you think you are smart, but others do not recognize that. So you withdraw from others. Who is going to suffer? It's you who is going to suffer, because others get along well, they gel well with each other. So overcome this prejudice by being open to criticism, by learning something from what others have to say. Because if we believe that we have learned everything, then we have really stopped learning, because there's always room and scope for improvement. Remember this forever in your life, because that helps you to improve yourselves from time to time. Because definitely we do meet so many people every time, we do interact, we do exchange information, we attend meetings, workshops and all. We see who is a good we don't judge a speaker by the content or the style of presentation. Definitely we judge them by means of how they take the criticism, how they accept. That's it. Because constructive criticism can be given if you don't have any kind of prejudice. If the criticism is constructive, people work on it and improvise themselves, their abilities over a period of time, and that's how they can overcome this barrier. Then the next barrier is a culture. Culture is a barrier because there are differences in business practices. I must tell you something. Culture from country to country differs. There is one example that you come across in the prescribed reading. I should share with you the syllabus where you have the prescribed reading also given by the Usmania University, right? Have a look at it. So when you come to library, you borrow the book by Technical Communication by Ashraf Rizvi, that is the author. It is something like a Bible, a guide which you can follow very, very systematically to keep reading over and again. These topics are there. At least some of them are covered in that particular book. I borrow this example, differences in social customs and practices. So there are two people working together. One is from the Arab countries, one is an Indian working on the same project. So the fellow says, why are you not yet married? Indian fellow questions his counter part of Saudi Arabia. Why are you not yet married? Why are you not yet married? He says it's a dowry problem, dowry problem. So when it is a dowry problem, immediately what strikes to us in our mind is, according to our custom that is observed in as a normal practice in our society, dowry is something, a huge amount given as a gift. Actually, it should be given as a gift, but there are practices in so many parts of the country where people demand not a gift, but they take by demand, where a huge amount is given to the bridegroom in the on the occasion of the marriage, right? So this fellow knows only that meaning, but in other countries it is ulta, it is a reciprocation. The groom pays a huge amount for his bride to marry her. So this fellow is under the misconception that the Saudi fellow is over ambitious, greedy, etc. Finally, once they realize that they know what mistake they have made in understanding. So culture also poses a lot many problems. You might question me, ma'am, how can culture be a barrier to communication? Definitely, the way we greet, the way we stand, the way we bow before others are all a part and parcel of the cultural aspects. So when there are variations and when we are unaware of these variations, people cannot tolerate. People misunderstand the other persons. Whenever we are introduced to our elders, we just put hands together and say namaste, right? If not, we shake hands. But some people hug each other. They just, touch each other and say, yes, nice meeting you. That is their custom. When you and some for us, putting hands in the pockets and walking is a taboo. It's not at all a good manner, but for others it's an accustomed practice. So when there are variations, especially when you are going to present, when you are going to meet people across the globe, you be aware of these practices so that you are not misjudged, you are not judged in a wrong manner. Divergent perceptions of values. What holds to me good as a principle or a value might not be the same to others. So, what holds good to me is good enough for me. I don't have to thirst my opinion on others. I don't have to do anything like that. Then, conceptual peculiarities. Concepts differ, practices differ. It might sound strange and weird. In order to let people overcome all these barriers, we should know whom we are associated with as a group, what is our common goal, what are the practices being observed by them, how should we develop a regard and respect for them. So that can help us overcome this barrier. Then we have the other barrier like the physical barrier. Physical barrier is something related to the hardware in the sense not just the machine or the gadget we are using, but also the seating arrangement, the orientation of the room, the ventilation, etc., etc. So technical noise such as harsh or loud music, etc., is a barrier. For example, some people, even before the presentations commence and all, they just turn on a small video or something. They play the light music in the background because they feel it soothes the nerves of the participants. But if it is really jarring and causing a lot of trouble to your ears, it's better always to put a stop to such kind of music. Don't you think so? So this is one kind of a barrier. Not just that, even recently we did notice that when we played the audio for our students to complete the listening activity as a part of examination, lab examination, we could hear that beep sound constantly on rise. Sometimes it was more than the dialogue that could be heard outside. So such things cause a barrier to communication, because sometimes we should be all ears when we listen to something. It might be the guest speaker who is giving away his invaluable information to the audience. But when such kind of disturbances arise, we don't follow what they say, and it would be embarrassing both for the speaker as well as the audience. So we should check all that appropriately and make alternative arrangements if in case certain problems might arise. Then improper seating, maybe we have chairs that are lined up just like that, but if a tall guy sits in the front row, it could be a problem for the others. Not just that, if it is cramped, people have to wade their way through the gap and settle down. That could be a barrier. You are all the time worried about how others hurt your legs and all, rather than focus on the message of the speaker. A badly ventilated room, air ventilation as well as light ventilation is another barrier. Physical discomfort because of the kind of chairs that have been put up, or physical discomfort because you are not well, something is bothering you all the time. So that could also be a barrier. Bad condition of room temperature, like it is packed with so many people. When there are so many people, lot of carbon dioxide, so it adds to the heat of the room. If there is no AC, or even there is AC that does not function properly, it causes kind of inconvenience, and definitely it's a great barrier to communication. Apart from that, see, when you were taught presentation skills and all, you were told how to dress. We don't dress to kill, because it's not an occasion. If it is your wedding, you dress to kill. If it is an occasion or a function, you dress to kill. But if it is an occasion, a formal occasion, we dress only to present. We dress for ourselves to be presentable as well as to present the topic, but not to distract the audience. Okay, so it's distractions caused by dress, gestures, postures. So, what kind of gesture should we adapt? What kind of posture are we carrying with us? Does it complement your presentation, or does it contradict your presentation? These are the things that might cause a kind of barriers to physical communication. So physical barriers to communication, you can say these are more or less something related to non-verbal communication: dressing, posture, gesture, hand movement, head nod, eye contact, etc., etc. So these barriers should be definitely addressed in order to make your communication effective and worthwhile. Then what is the next one? Organizational barriers. So, what is an organizational barrier? Every organization functions by a smooth coordination and cooperation at various levels. You can have too many stations in an organization. I mean to say, too many in departments. If at all the information has to be disseminated on time, you need to know what is what. You need to know who is sourcing the information, what time would it take for one department to source the information and process and send it to the next department. Unless and until they don't work with a proper agenda and a coordination, information gets stagnated. Exclusively when we talk about these organizational barriers, if people don't check and really coordinate, that organization is going to fail. It's going to fail or end up very soon as a failure in the market. So if you really want to address such kind of organizational barriers, you should know what could be the reasons for this organizational barriers. The first and foremost thing is too many sources of information. For example, a topic is given to you. I say, look, Google for the information, browse the net, and just read one or two prescribed textbooks and come back to me. That's it. So I have given four. But some people are over ambitious and say, Google, refer to journal, refer to your book, refer to the suggested readings, at least 3 to 4 of them, refer to WhatsApp information, refer to something else, sci-fi, refer to Quora, etc., etc., etc. How do we validate such huge sources of information? Diverse sources of information are unwieldy, unmanageable. So that is a great barrier to communication. So information gets stagnated, and too many transfer stations, because as I told you, if an organization has to work effectively, it will delegate its work, it will decentralize its work to different departments. And if there are too many departments, definitely they take their own time. Maybe they do not really coordinate, and they have to depend on each and every, intermittently they might have to depend on each and every transfer station, and that might hold back the information, that might prove to be a great barrier to communication. Apart from that, we also know that something called information overload. What is this information overload? Maybe in a particular department, one particular person is given all the information, and too much of information at every regular interval. So how much can a human brain work? To what extent can it take the load or the stress? If that is not addressed properly, that collapses. The information collapses at that particular transfer station, resulting in the failure of communication. Apart from that, inappropriate media is used to send this or disseminate information. Disseminate is send across the information. So if your media is wrongly used or a wrong visual is chosen, definitely it is blocking the transfer of information. So it becomes a barrier, it becomes an organizational barrier to communication. For example, there is thanks to the improved technology, I should say, rather, we used to have in the CPUs only the CD drive. If we were to go for DVD drive, we had to buy that separately, install software, etc. That was expensive a little earlier. But now no one is using CD, that is outdated. So we have the DVD drives inbuilt. So somebody used to give us the CDs, presentations, in spite of warning them, people burned them on a DVD drive rather than a CD drive. As a result, we could never access information provided on the DVD. And these things definitely cause a lot of inconvenience for information transfer. Hence, they prove to be detrimental for the progress of the organization as well as progress of, information processing. In order to overcome these barriers, you should see that information sources are minimized. You should agree upon the number of information sources, and transfer stations also should be minimized. Say one or two departments in turn would take care of the information transfer. That could be rotated among departments, 2 year wise or 6 month wise. You can delegate this work to different departments, and rather than employing just one person for the processing of information or one department, you could take the help of at least a minimum of 3 people working in each and every department for the information to be processed, so that it is immediately sent off wherever it has to reach. And ensuring that the media is supportive to your processing of information will definitely help you overcome these barriers. Now, we say tips to overcome or avoid barriers. What can be done in order to overcome these barriers? Have a look at this, please. So, create an atmosphere of trust and care. Believe people. That's when you will be never you'll never be intimidated about people. You'll never have any apprehensions of being judged. Choose the most appropriate medium, because we may have refined ourselves, we may have become so great achievers, but the places where we work may not be the same. It might not provide the same kind of supportive system. If you are aware of that, choose the medium that you can work with, that can be supported by the gadgets or the available resources with you. Keep the target audience in mind. Do not work something that your audience cannot make out. Work on something that you can definitely your audience can bear in mind, can like analyze the audience. That is very, very important while communicating in the technical fields. What are their needs? What is their level? Can they grasp what you are sharing with them, etc.? Do not communicate when mentally disturbed, because you might end doing the wrong thing. Mentally as well as emotionally charged, it upsets your thought process. As a result, you might not perform to your level of expectation. So bear in mind the culture, the language, and the social background of the receiver. And as I told you, minimize the transfer stations. Use your body language that supports and complements your presentation rather than contradicts your presentation. Analyze the feedback and change your strategy in written communication. So once you write something, you give it to somebody else, your close friend or family member. Let them read through it. If they express this is confusing, this is not answered, etc., you try to point out, you try to work on it and improvise the same script, so that you are reaching out your audiences at the in a easy and affordable manner. So these are a few tips that can be definitely considered to overcome these barriers. Now, I would like to share with you something related to YouTube. Just a minute. Let me open a new tab. I don't think I have the video deleted, but I want to share this video with you. Definitely, it will consolidate all the barriers that we have discussed so far, right? Why doesn't it take time? Come on, fast. Yeah, I'm here almost. It's taking quite some time. Yeah, I think you can now. I'm going to share this a tab. Chalo. You can watch this as well as listen to it. It's taking quite some time to get loaded, but it will work definitely. Just hold there for a minute. There seems to be a problem loading the video. Just let me check if I could use my mobile data and play it properly. Uh, yeah, could one of the students just tell me? I have the video in the mobile. I mean, I could open it, but I don't know how to share it in the classroom on the mobile. Can anyone help me with this? Yes, I got it. B is, yeah, ECB. Fine, students. I'm unable to play this, but I'll post it on the. I'll post it to you personally so that you can just have a look at. Okay. I'm unable to play it. I don't know the reason. It hasn't even reached. Oh, fine. We shall stop here for today. That brings us to the completion of the barriers to communicate, barriers of effective communication. Okay. Let me take your attendance. If you can give your roll calls very quickly. Roll number 61.